You are listening to Radio Maria Canada. We now present the Health Hub, hosted by Kathy Biasi.
Welcome to the Health Hub on Radio Maria Canada, exploring cutting-edge health and wellness information and therapies, helping you to take your health to the next level. I'm your host, Kathy Biasi, and I'm a holistic nutritionist and a professional cancer coach. AI is no longer just about self-driving cars and virtual assistants. It's making waves in the fitness world as well, from personalized training programs and real-time feedback to cutting-edge recovery strategies. AI is transforming strength training into a data-driven, highly efficient experience. On today's show, our guest is Troy Taylor, and we are discussing how AI and technology are changing the way we strength train. Troy Taylor is an internationally renowned human performance leader with extensive experience developing and leading world-class multi-disciplinary teams and working collaboratively to connect high-level strategic insights to operational execution. Troy is currently the Senior Director, Performance Innovation at Tonal. Troy leads a department established to drive evidence-based fitness and human performance thought leadership into all aspects of Tonal's curriculum and product development, as well as to conduct, commission, and collaborate on peer-reviewed research to advance human potential through resistance training. I love this show. I love where AI is taking us. I love how we can, see the future where we have this instant feedback where our training and our time are maximized. We talked today about the connection between strength training and overall health and longevity, how AI and technology are changing the way we approach strength training and fitness in general, and the role data and technology play in optimizing personal fitness goals. Stay tuned with us. We will be back in just a few minutes to speak with Troy.
You are listening to Radio Maria Canada. We now continue with the program, The Health Hub, hosted by Kathy Biasi.
Welcome back to the Health Hub, everybody. Please do follow us on our social sites. We are on Instagram, X, and Facebook, and we're at the Health Hub RMC on those locations. Troy, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Well, I am looking to be really informed by your product, which we'll get to a little bit later, because I do a lot of my workouts at home. But before we get to that, let's sort of lay the groundwork, the foundation of what you do, how AI has influenced your products. Tell us how you got into this space, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, I spent the first 20 or so years of my career working in elite sport. I was fortunate. I did an undergraduate and graduate degree in exercise physiology. Was fortunate to sort of work with some Olympic athletes during my graduate training, and kind of got the bug for working with people and trying to help them get better. I was fortunate over the next 20 years to go to 7 Olympic Games across Team GB, Team Canada, and Team USA as a sports scientist, as a strength and conditioning coach, and later as a leader of those teams, really helping the best athletes in the world hopefully get 1 or 2% better. Mm-hmm. And then about 4 years ago, I was kind of looking at what should I do next. Not that I'd done everything in sport, but done a lot. And I'd come across Tonal, home fitness company, which is sort of an adjacent space. It's about helping people get better, but rather than helping the best athletes in the world, it was to help average people get better. And so I made the transfer over to Tonal about 4 years ago.
Well, exactly the right timing for it. If we look on the social media space in integrative health, I mean, the last year or two, it's been all about strength training, weight training. And has this always been something that has been a part of your life, of what you've taught? Or are you two beginning to appreciate or have a new appreciation of the science behind what strength training, resistance training, weight training, you can differentiate between all of those if you like. Are you becoming more appreciative as the science is coming out behind it?
I think I've always been really appreciative. I probably did my first strength training session probably when I was about 14 years old as
Okay.
a soccer player in England back in the day, and always liked the gym. And so strength training has always been a part, particularly working with elite athletes, has always been a part of the training, even endurance athletes. It's always been a key part of their training. And actually, like, it's interesting, the science, what has come to the forefront in the last 2 to 5 years is the benefit for outside of athletic populations and those that are just looking to look good, right? It's not just about having some muscles and kind of wanting to look good on a beach or something like that. It's about the benefits beyond that. It's about functional health as we get older. It's about maintaining our strength. It's about preventing osteoporosis. It's even brain health is improved by resistance training. And so that, I think, has been the really interesting and exciting thing is there's been science behind the value of that, but it has exploded in the last 5 to 10 years. And that has become popularized in the last, let's say 2 or so years. And so that's really, really cool to see the benefits of resistance and strength training becoming into everyday populations.
And the emergence of AI behind all of this space is also another push for at-home training, for the ability. I mean, I'm recovering from injury. I have not been working out as I like to do, and I went on Chat GPT and said, okay, here's the issues, and it printed me out a really great, as far as I was concerned, workout for myself. And this is where sort of what you are doing, where AI comes together, that I think makes all of what you're talking about attainable for people. How has AI impacted what you do and what you're trying to accomplish?
Yeah, it was actually that was probably my primary reason for joining Tonal as a company when I was looking about, what should I do next? Like, it's rare that you find really good hardware in training stuff, but it does happen. It's really, really rare that you find really good hardware with really good software and content. But even that can happen. But what really got me excited was those two, plus this enormous data set that Tonal captures. Every time any one of our members lifts, 50 times a second, we collect all of the data that kind of goes into their training. And so what we believe is likely the world's largest strength training database or a database on human training in general. We're talking about 250 billion pounds lifted, about 10 billion reps, 50 million training sessions from people over all walks of life, from 18 to 80 plus years old, and actually a little younger and a little older than that. And not just for a 6 or 12 week training study in a research lab setting, but in the real world over multiple years. And it's that kind of data set where you start to track the long-term changes at high fidelity that really generates and powers your AI algorithm. So something like ChatGPT, which I think is honestly is great for giving you a basic training program, for a pretty decent training program. It's a really good starting point. And so you've got the AI component of generative AI giving that. And then if you can layer on this proprietary data set that never forgets anything you've ever done, right? Every training session that you've ever done, now I can tailor that general recommendation into a very, very specific and personalized recommendation for you based on what you have done, this week, yesterday, but also, knowing that maybe 6 months ago, you did a really heavy training block and you maybe overreached or overtrained and you got a little tired. And so I can use all of that existing data and layer on to personalize those recommendations. And I think that's the huge opportunity that is in front of us.
So are we seeing the, I don't know what the proper word would be. Do we need coaches anymore? If we can get this done all through AI, and just to kind of make this a little bit more lucid, with the tonal, are you inputting your own data as you exercise? And this is going to like sort of a mainframe that's spewing out for an age group, or is this very specific to you, your own workouts?
Yeah. So I'll answer the first question. Do you need still trainers? Yes, but the role of a trainer evolves. And rather than necessarily, being focused on what exercises or sets or reps or those types of things, you can focus on the human connection side, right? You can focus on the other aspects of what it means to be a connect. Does everyone need that? No. But do many people, like we have, hundreds of thousands of members that work out at home that don't have trainers. But we also have many members that also say see a trainer a couple of times a week because they miss that in-person social connection. They miss some of those specific guidance kind of pieces that they get from the extra stuff. And they work out with Tonal. And so I think like the way to think about I think technology in general is as a trainer is as an enabler. How do you utilize this? Does it mean you have to adapt and change? Yes, it does. I think if you continue to think that your value is based on that you can write so many sets, so many sets, reps, and exercises, that's probably not the unique special sauce that you can bring to someone. What you can bring to them is a relationship and a coaching and a motivation and the other components of it, in addition to your expertise in being able to write programs too, or even use technology to help you write those additional programs. They can give you a great base template and then you can augment it on top. So I think there will always be a place for trainers. It just is an evolution in what that looks like.
Well, what about the feedback in, say, you are not engaging your lats or you're twisting too hard, this is going to cause you injury, you're not engaging your core. Are you, within your own product, but within other things I'm sure you have seen and researched, are you able to get that feedback when you're by yourself, kind of talking into a computer system?
Yes, to some degree, and it's something that improves, every day as it gets better. But we have a front-facing camera in Tonal 2. We have a pose model, artificial intelligence pose model that's giving you, your skeletal structure for every single rep of every single exercise that you do, so we can get to see that. Then we can see the force and the velocity on all of the cables measured at 50 hertz. And so you can triangulate, the forces and the angles and being pulled. And what that means to the end user is you can get a coaching cue that, hey, on that lunge, you're swaying to the right or to the left, or, your shoulders are shrugging in that particular kind of motion, a lat pull down, and we want more lat engagement. And so, yes, you can do it. Is it like, fully replacement of a world-class trainer right now? No, I don't think the technology is right there, but I think that will progress over time to be a point of that. Can you see everything in 360? No, not right now. I think you'll see more evolution advancements in that. But I think there's places for hybrid training too of sort of, some things that technology can do, some of the basic more, let's say, gross errors or larger movement pattern errors. I think technology is quite good at picking those up. More of the finite individual, muscle activation things. I don't think technology is there as a to do those that well right now, but I think that will change in the next 2 to 5 years.
Interesting. Now, with technology, are we at a point that someone can say they've just they've just broken the leg, they're in recovery, and really pinpoint a recovery type of program? Or are we not there in that aspect of training?
Yeah, I would say that's not, I think similar to probably your chat GPT style. I think you can get the basics. Like there are, let's say you've done, let's say an ACL, a common knee injury. There are one that I've seen in my former career as a ski and snowboard sort of high performance director. There are standard things that you want most people to do, and you want to be able to progress. There's some let's say structured frameworks that you can utilize, and 100% technology can implement those. But you also need to individualize those based on what the patient is showing you in front. And I think that would be more of a clinician technology hybrid, where, the clinician might be, writing the program into Tonal and then getting the feedback from Tonal about what their force and power output was. And so they would use it in that way, where they would still be writing the training program themselves, but they'd be getting feedback mechanisms that they wouldn't normally get from, say, a dumbbell or a squat or something like that, a barbell. But you can measure their power every single rep now. And so you can see when that's returning. If you had data from before they got injured, what a common benchmark is, when are they close back to that previous level of whether it's strength or power or sort of other metrics around that. So it would be utilizing the technology rather than necessarily like 100% writing the program.
And if we segue into an at-home workout versus working out at a gym where they have all the equipment there, would a product like yours take the place of everything in a gym, or is the ideal to have to do barbell work, plate work, as well as incorporating yours? Or are the programs now and the system like yours taking over for all that? It's heavy equipment, it's expensive equipment, it takes up space.
Yeah, I think it depends on your goals. I would say the vast majority of our members work out almost exclusively on our product. Probably in the region of somewhere between 80 and 90% that do all of their strength and resistance training and quite a lot of their Pilates, yoga, cardio, mobility, recovery works, things all based on Tonal. You can do 280 something moves in our library. You can do everything from, barbell deadlifts and, squatting patterns to bench press to lat pull downs to flies to, basically any movement pattern you can think of, you can most likely do on Tonal. There are, I would say, let's say somewhere around 10 or so % of the people that, hey, they can, they want to make strength. Strength is specific to the exercise that you do. So if you want to get really good at free weight bench pressing, then you kind of have to do barbell bench press. That's going to be making you better at barbell bench press and free weight bench press than maybe Tonal bench press. There's relatively few of those and things, but some people certainly want to get better at those types of very specific exercises. And then there's some of the things that, they might not want to replicate on Tonal, a sled drag or something like that, which, they might still want to go to the gym and do, or in their home gym if they have the space to do so. But I'd say, 80, 90% of people are doing the vast majority of their work on Tonal. And I think you can get a very, very full comprehensive workout on there. But if you choose to augment it with some additional barbell free weights, you love kettlebell swings, then go for it and we can work around that.
I'm going to assume that goals are required in order for the output of a program, a whole bunch of information. Is that how it works? And I would assume the goal is probably where everything kind of filters down from. And then everything, you do your workout input, the second workout is created for you. Is that how this system works, or is it a one-off every time?
No, yeah, we have actually a new product launch a couple of months ago called Training Effect Goals. We've always had goals within the program, but they were generally relatively, let's say, macro focused. Like, do you want to, improve your fitness, build more muscle, or, lose weight or get lean? And we actually went through our entire movement library, which is the 280 odd moves, our existing workout library, which is 5,000 or so workouts, 300 plus 4-week programs that are like consecutive. They might be 3 days to 6 days a week programs that were in there. And we basically mapped everything to one of 7 goals. So you could be, working for max strength, building muscle, working on your functional fitness or functional movement, your movement quality. You could be working on all these different sort of subsections of that. And so we can kind of get to granular, and you don't have to pick one, you can pick multiple or blends of them. And then every time that you get a workout on Tonal, you can get to see the kind of the stimulus, if you think about it, like how much does this workout work on this goal? If you think like, building muscle, I think some of the key variables that you would look for let's say, would be like, doing the amount of volume that you do, how many sets is involved in that program, and, how close to failure are you working? Those are two of the, not the only two variables that matter, but certainly two of the most important variables for building muscle. So a workout that, scores high and then might be a 10 out of 10. But it doesn't just work on that. It might have, some sort of aspects of, hey, there's some single leg balance work involved in there. So it's helping me work on my movement quality and functional strength. And so it might not be as focused on that, but you might see there's a, 3 out of 10 for my movement quality. But essentially you'll get this kind of a scorecard where you can see every single workout that Tonal gives you, how it relates you to help reaching your goal based on the stimulus in the system.
And do you pick your workout, or are they consecutively organized for you?
Yeah, if you're doing programs, they're consecutively organized for you. So you can opt in. You can do either. You can do one of three ways. Number one, which is what the vast majority of the members do, is they join a program that is made for them. And so they're on that specific 4-week program. You'll lay up, the 16 workouts over 4 weeks, and the next one will load as soon as you finish that one. You can set a schedule. So on Tuesday I'll do workout 1, and on Thursday I'll do workout 2, and they're already preloaded. So you can go there. You can go in and not join one of those programs and just do your one-off workouts, and you can select a particular workout. Hey, today I really want to work on my lower body, and I can pick a lower body workout and kind of work on that, and then come back and do an upper body workout the next day, or focus on your arms or whatever it might be. But one-off workouts can there. Or you can go in and you can choose what you do yourself. You can write your own workout, write your own custom workouts and say, hey, I want to do, bench press followed by some bicep curls, followed by some shoulder press. I want to, how many reps do I want to do? What rest periods do I want? Do I want to add additional weight modes where we can do things like chains mode at the touch of a button? So you can kind of, choose your own adventure and write your own training programs. So there's sort of the 3 avenues.
And how expansive is your product in particular? And what I'm meaning about this is, can your product and the AI behind it generate a nutrition plan to support your workout, or a sleep schedule? Are we there yet, or is this something that you already have as a fundamental?
Yeah, so the price is $4,300 for the hardware, and then it's $60 a month as a subscription. So it's an investment in your health and your future. It's not cheap. We don't try to claim that it is. So it's $4,300 plus $60 a month as a subscription. It gives you access to all of the sort of AI and the modes and all that type of thing. In terms of the nutrition and sleep, no, it's something we are actively investigating and looking at kind of there. We're focused on sort of the base of the product. I would say the base of the pyramid for us, which is resistance training as a resistance training product. But certainly I would say we're having active product development conversations about how we might either, provide maybe nutritional information or sleep information, or do you integrate with other third-party technology and take Apple Watch sleep data that already does that and utilize that, or other nutrition products? So I think those are active. I have no things I can tell you when and where we will launch those products, but certainly that's top of mind for the company of how do you integrate into someone's life and be valuable in that space?
Just before we come to the end of this segment here, do you integrate with platforms like Apple Watch and others out there?
Yeah, we have an extensive Apple Healthcare integration. So all of your workouts that are will go both ways from healthcare. So for us, we have something like, say, muscle readiness, which is predominantly based off your tonal data. So if you had a big leg day yesterday, your Vitruvian man's going to show up red, and we're not going to recommend that you do more legs, which works great if you're only doing tonal. But what if you ran a marathon yesterday, right? And so we'll take that data from healthcare that would say you ran a marathon yesterday, and we're still going to show that your legs are tired. So we're going to integrate that data into our recommendations and our fatigue models to show that hey, you still shouldn't do a leg day today because you ran a marathon yesterday. So we are utilizing that data from a training perspective.
Interesting. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, everybody, and we'll be back. We're going to talk about the whys behind training and why something like a home investment or an investment in a home gym could be the right thing for a lot of people. So we'll be back in just a few minutes to continue talking with Troy.
You are listening to The Health Hub here on Radio Maria Canada. A Catholic voice wherever you are. To contact us and be a part of the show, email thh@radiomaria.ca. We now continue with the program. Here once again is your host, Kathy Biasi.
Welcome back to our show. We're talking with Troy Taylor. We're talking about home gyms, specifically his product called Tonal. And I think it would be beneficial to a lot of us to get to know the whys behind home gyms, his product, and so forth. So I think maybe where we want to start is, Troy, can you tell us the difference between resistance training and strength training and the benefits of each, maybe where they cross over?
Yeah, I think most people would utilize them almost interchangeably and synonymous with each other. If you go to the research, some people will say resistance training is more likely pulling and pushing against your own body mass rather than an external object, and strength training might be more with an external. I wouldn't say that I really adhere to that particularly. I think they're generally interchangeable. So you can definitely use their, So I wouldn't say there's a ton of difference.
Okay. And with a home gym product like yours, it's mounted on the wall. It's a system of pulleys and cables, I'm going to say.
Yeah. Essentially, It's electromagnetic resistance, and so it creates the resistance not via moving mass or iron, but via magnets. The easiest assumption is the difference between sort of a combustion engine and a Tesla. We use electricity to generate that power and that force. But it's a cable machine, dual arms that come out, and a cable machine, yes.
With a cable machine, are there a lot of sort of wobbly external movements that you have to take account for, or is this built into the exercising?
No, it's a very stable machine. So no, it's the difference with our cable machine versus, say, free weights is the way that we generate force with free mass when you're working against gravity. There is inertia, Newton's second law. Every object wants to keep moving until it stops. With electromagnetic resistance, you actually have to generate more force throughout the movement, because as soon as you stop pushing, the motor stops. So it's actually a more sort of, let's say, constant tension throughout the range of motion. But no, it's not wobbly. There is a stability component to it that works on stabilizing muscles that you have to get used to.
Okay. And with an investment like this, so, you gave us the pricing of it. It is an investment. And can I assume that this would be something that the whole family can use? And what I'm getting at here, a lot of the stuff we're seeing on the internet now for the importance of strength training is, for longevity, for building muscle mass, sarcopenia issues, things like that. But my question to you is at the other end of the spectrum, where there's not a lot of chitter chatter, and it's where children can get involved in the strength training. Now, I know the thought has been, and you can sort of let us know if this has changed, the thought has been that children should not be doing any sort of strength work until they're fully developed. So what is the science saying to us now?
Yeah, that's one of the, these myths take so long to bust and kind of there. Certainly that was thought what I heard when I was growing up in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. I think there is very, very, very little evidence of suggesting that strength training causes stunts in growth or issues related to children. I think what you want to make sure with anyone that is doing resistance training or any training of any type, really, to start with, is that you start with, really, really good technique. And you should be starting with body weight technique to start with. So learn to squat, learn the patterns, a hip hinge, like deadlift type pattern, a squat pattern, a push, a pull, those sort of major fundamental movements, which kids are really, really good at, right? You can see them move. These are natural movements that they're exceptional at to start with. So you want to make sure that they have good movement patterns. And, are you going to load them up with a 1RM max? Absolutely not. But certainly there's very little evidence that if they have good form and technique, and that you're working in, let's say, an 8 to 12 rep range or something in that range, there is very little issues and very little evidence to support that there's any damage in doing that. And if you see, kids playing, what are they doing naturally? They're doing resistance training. It might be body weight. They're jumping off, walls. They're climbing on things. There's high impact and high forces going on through their bodies throughout. And that's actually probably really critical for building bone mineral density. We know actual bone mineral density, the osteopenia, osteoporosis that we struggle with later in life. We need to build that during childhood and early adult. That's when we actually have the opportunity to build really strong bones. We later in life mostly get to just try and keep what we have. But there's a real opportunity. So you can definitely use for your whole family. We have dedicated workouts for family workouts that are generally more body weight focused, but from the whole family to get involved. Anyone can join Tonal once you have it. As many members in your family can utilize that account, have their own separate profiles. So from children under adult supervision all the way through to your grandparents or whatever it may be on the upper end schedule.
Excellent. With regards to the science, and this is kind of an area that I like to elucidate for people. Are there any other evidence-based fitness things that are kind of coming to the forefront now and throwing other sort of ideological things about fitness into the fire? Does that make sense, that question to you? We talked about the children and, there's no evidence. So science says that they can work out. Is there any science that's disclaiming traditional workout myths that are adopted within your programs?
I think the other end is I think the common myth was that once you're older, you can't build muscle mass or strength. And I think that has been completely blown out of the water. At least from the research side. But I think it's still a pervasive thought within the general population that I'm too old to make changes. And that's literally could not be more further from the truth. There's a research paper, a meta-analysis by Joseph Gurgic a couple of years ago. And the title of that is Use It or Lose It. And he showed people are building strength and muscle mass in their 70s and 80s. And there's a couple of follow-up studies that show people who are even building it in their 90s and are over 100 years old. It is literally never too late. So I think that's sort of number one that hopefully has been busted, but still needs to get in there. I think number two is, and I think this has been generally busted too, but certainly things is, the benefits beyond of all training, beyond the physical benefits, the mental benefits, whether it's decrease in risk in Alzheimer's and dementia and things like that, or just improved executive function, cognitive health and memory and things like that. But the mental benefits of exercise, whether it's cardiovascular exercise or resistant exercise, they are equally as good as many drugs in this space. There are huge powers for cardiovascular, for mental health benefit from both cardiovascular and resistance training, which I don't think are as appreciated as the probably evidence suggests.
When we talk about cardiovascular and weight training, again, this is something that people have to become to have an appreciation about, because a lot of us think that cardiovascular is running, skipping, jumping, bike riding, and then strength training is weight. But with your system, you can integrate both, correct?
Yeah, we can absolutely work on both with our new product Tonal 2. So I'd say with Tonal 1, we're mostly on Tonal is resistance or strength training basis. So it's more about sort of more on that force application side. With Tonal 2, and we had off tonal cardio. So it would be body weight cardio. You'd be doing high knees, lunging, other things that get your heart rate up and, work your heart, lungs and cardiovascular system, but weren't necessarily pulling on tonal. And so with Tonal 2, we launched aero mode, which really combines cardio and strength into one workout. It's feels not dissimilar to something like a rower. a rowing machine where it's variable resistance, where you pull harder and it resists you harder. But it's not limited to one movement pattern. So it's not like, on a bike you cycle, on a treadmill you run, on a rower you row. On this, you can do these multiple movement patterns. You can do something more like a ski erg type things, but you can also do like a med ball slam type movement. You can lunge, you can twist, you can chop. So you can do all these different movements that are working on movement pattern quality, but are very much cardiovascular. I did a workout this morning. My heart rate hit 192 beats a minute. Like it's full on, heart, lung busting kind of thing. You can do zone 2 steady state stuff on it too, but you can go that really high end. And so, yeah, really excited to bring that, combine both cardio and resistance training on Tonal.
So with the advent of AI and products like yours and integration of them, there might be some people out there who are technology frightened, or that would be afraid of newer products like this because there's a perception of depth of knowledge that you have to have. What would you say to people that's running through their mind right now thinking, I can't learn anymore?
Yeah, and as it sounds bad, but as I get older, I can appreciate that more. I only upgrade my phone when I absolutely have to, because I don't want to learn a new operating system. I would say, like, one of the phrase that I can say is what our members tell us is Tonal takes the cognitive load out of training. So yes, there is a learning curve that you have to operate, but once you get through that, it takes the cognitive load. You don't have to think about what you're doing as much. If you want to think and actively engage, you certainly can, but you don't have to. And I think a lot of people is like, they stop working out and they don't form the habits because they're not sure what to do. Is this right? Is this wrong? Should I increase the weight or decrease the weight? Should I change the exercise or not? There's lots of decisions that you have to make within your workout kind of place. Tonal takes it all out of the equation if you want to. It takes the cognitive load. It tells you what weight you can lift using an AI algorithm. It has the exercise progression. So if you're a beginner, it's going to give you a body weight squat. Then it's going to progress you onto something like, say, a goblet squat. As you get more competent, it might go into a rack squat. And then as you start getting stronger and stronger, maybe we'll go into a barbell squat. And so it has these progressions built in. So you don't have to think about your workout. So it's net benefit in terms of that cognitive load, which is one of the key benefits that our members tell us all the time.
Now, does it teach you how to do the specific exercises?
Yeah, we have movement videos, so coaches that will be demonstrating on the screen so you can see the correct form. We have coaching cues during the exercises themselves. So if you're making a mistake, we'll give you the coaching cue, you're rounding your back or something's changing there. And then we have these actual workouts. They're like introductory workouts. And so it's like, say, introduction to deadlifting or team teaching, where two of our coaches will teach the other coach how to do a deadlift. And then you can work along with them. So the weights will be light. You get to move the movement patterns. They'll be walking through the common mistakes with each other. And then you're going to be getting your individual feedback. And so you can kind of move all of the fundamental patterns as you're kind of learning the mechanics.
And is it a community-based product so you can work out with other people, or is this very specific to your own workouts?
Yeah, we have we can do group workouts and partner workouts. So you can do a partner workout, so you can kind of exchange. So we have a lot of husband and wives or brothers and sisters that will go in there, and you can kind of go back and forth. And so you can do a partner workout in that kind of environment. You can also do group workouts, which is where you may be remote or in person, depending on how many toners around. But you can you have the opportunity to kind of, sync with your workout with someone, thousands of miles away from you, and you can work out together and do that. We have a very active Facebook community. So 60,000 or so members are in our official Tonal community. And so there's a sort of a big community point there of supporting each other, motivating. One of my favorite videos that was posted in there is Arlene, who's was when the video was posted, 67 years old, 2-time cancer survivor, and just hit 4 million pounds lifted. At that time, she's probably on 5 or 6 million pounds now. It's a couple of years old. But, just like literally hundreds or thousands of, congratulations. That's awesome. You're inspiring me. Really supportive community in the OTC.
Excellent. And just for optics, this is a product that is mounted to a wall? What are the specifics we need to have if we want to buy your product?
Yeah, it is mounted to your wall. We install it, so it's not something that like a TV that you have to buy and you have to install. We will always come and install it to make sure it's fitting to the stud. So 100%. Yeah, they'd obviously seen my wife get scared when I installed our 55-inch TV or whatever, and they're like, "You're pulling on this." No, we have a team that comes and does that. We go on to most wall types. Wooden studs that are 16 to 24 inches wide are the most common in most of the houses in the US. But there's a variety. If you went on tonal.com, there's a variety of other installations from solid concrete to metal studs and different types of pieces. But we essentially, there's a pre-install survey that's sent out. So we ask you what your wall type is, and then we send our technicians with Tonal to come and install it for you, and they'll make sure your hardware is connected correctly.
Okay, then. So where are you distributing at this point?
Yeah, we are just in the US as it is right now, as of today. So yeah, anywhere in the 50 states of America, we ship and install in all of them.
Do you have any plans to ship to Canada?
We would love to. We haven't managed to find the time to work through it yet, but we hope to in the not too distant future. But I have no specific plans I can share.
Okay. And if someone would like to, a lot of our audience is based in Canada. We have listenership all over the world, of course. But if someone's interested in finding out more, or maybe prodding someone to, start delivery in Canada, where can they go to find out more information about your product and maybe some more information on exercise in general?
Yeah, so tonal.com is our website. So you can find all of the information about Tonal on that site. If you know people that install onto walls, that's probably the trickiest part of getting into another country is setting up the distribution network for the installation. So if you're in that space, then definitely look me up personally, and we can connect you with the right people internally. But tonal.com is where you can find all the Tonal information. We have a blog on there. It's called a blog, but it's really it's science-based information about training. It's tonal focused, but not just specifically. So it's a really good resource for generally finding out about resistance or strength training. I definitely encourage people to check that out.
Also, to clarify, you won't deliver to Canada even if someone will install it on their own?
No.
You can't. Okay.
No, release of liability. Unfortunately, if you don't install it correctly, it's not good for us. So we will not install in Canada or deliver.
Okay. All right. Well, I want to thank you so much for sharing insight into this. Exercise, strength training, muscle building is just like so on point right now. And as with every other aspect of our lives, AI technology is going to be a force. So congratulations on the product. We hope to have it here in Canada someday soon. But thanks so much for taking time to be with us today, Troy.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Everybody, we'll talk to you next week on The Health Hub.
You have been listening to The Health Hub, hosted by Kathy Biasi, here on Radio Maria Canada.